So the first of the 7 methods is by using passing chord to fill in the empty spaces in the progression. So I'm going to demonstrate this using a popular worship song. I'm going to play this song without passing chord and with passing chord so that you're going to see the difference, and then we proceed to other method. So I'm going to be in the key of F sharp. Here's how the basic progression of this song goes. Okay. You are highly lifted up, and Jesus, you are highly lifted up, and Jesus. Alright, so let me break down what I was playing. It's very simple. So the basic progression of the worship song in the key of F sharp, remember this is the scale. Okay, so this is the first chord in F sharp. I'm assuming you are already familiar with this. The second chord, the third chord, the fourth chord in F sharp, the fifth chord, sixth chord, seventh, back to 1. Okay, and don't be confused if you are not very comfortable with F sharp. It's still the same principle in other keys, though I'll still try to touch some other keys in this video for better comprehension, especially for the sake of beginners. Okay, so it's still the same principle. So the progression of the song is from 1, then I went to the 4, okay, to the 1, to the 5, Jesus, 6, you are rally 4, lifted up 1, Jesus, 5, Jesus, back to the 1. Okay, so what did I do to improve the progression? So remember, this is not a rule, it's just a guideline. Okay, so the first thing I did is when going to my 4, I did a passing chord. Okay, so the first method you can improve a progression is using passing chord, and the type of passing chord I'm talking about in this case are diatonic passing chords, which are passing chords that use one of the diatonic chords in the key, one or more of the diatonic chords in the key. So the passing chord is simply from the 1. When you are going to your 4 from the 1 chord, what you can do, you can add the 2, the 3 as a passing chord to get to the 4. Okay, so it sounds something like this. So I did something like this. Okay, now that I got to the 4, instead of just you are high, moving to the 4, lifted up 1, I started from 1 and I moved 2, you are high. Okay, you see that? So 1, 2, 3 to get to the 4. So this is used in many songs. It's even used in a popular song that is Jehovah is your name. For example, the song Jehovah is your name, instead of just on 1 to get to the 4, Jehovah is your name to the 4, they did something like this, Jehovah is your name. See that? Very beautiful way of getting to the 4. That is 1, 2, 3 to get to your 4. Okay, so that's what I did at the beginning part of the video, and this is a very beautiful way you can spice up your progression. Another thing I did was this. That is let me start again. Okay, I added this passing chord to get to my 1. Okay, so when you are, let's say, maybe on your 4 or whichever chord and you want to get to your chord 1, you can play this chord, which is the second chord in the key of F sharp. That is your re. So this is in the key of F sharp. This is 1, 2. This is the second chord. But when you invert this chord, that is bring this note to the higher octave, it becomes this. So this is what I played before I get to my 1. Okay, and it's a very beautiful passing chord you can implement also. So you are highly, this is my 4. Then instead of just going to the 1, you can do like this. You are high, 4, 2, 1. Okay, it's very beautiful. You just play the 2 to get to the 1. You are highly. Is it? Okay, it's a very beautiful way of getting to the 1. Okay, so the next method is by using grace notes. So grace notes, what do we mean by grace notes? Grace notes is just all this beautiful stuff you hear, something like this. You see all this stuff I'm playing? These are grace notes, okay? So, and this is another beautiful way you can spice up simple worship progressions. So just, for example, let's take a simple progression. Let's say 6, 5, 4, 1. Now just look at what grace notes, adding grace notes alone is going to do to this progression. 4, all right? Okay. Okay, so you can see just adding grace note just give that extra flavor, and that's what you want. So mind you, you don't add grace notes all the time to avoid your audience getting so used to the sound. It has to be unique. You really use it just few times to just kind of add and make you sound different, and it improves the progression. So it's very simple. You can just do it. Most often you can use any fingers, but most times I use these 2 fingers. Okay, that is this. So in a nutshell, it's just about sliding through 2 notes, either maybe a tone apart in terms of interval, or maybe semitone apart, okay, or something like this. So for example, look at these 2 notes, they are tones apart. That is 2 notes apart. So this is actually the target notes, but you just play this to get to this. Okay, it could be a semitone apart too. You see. Okay, this is a semitone apart, and it could be a tone apart also. Okay, so that's the next way you can improve any basic worship progression. The next way is just by simply adding the melody to the progression of the song. Now, in my own opinion, this is one of the easiest ways to improve any progression, especially if you're already comfortable with playing melody of songs. So just adding the melody to the progression just gives it that extra beauty. Okay, so just for example, take a look at this song. Which song are we going to pick? For example, as Dear, you can just add the melody on your right hand over the progression on your left hand, and the melody on your right hand just balances things up and improves the progression. So it's just like more or less like singing with the piano. So for example, so I make a separate video where I thought about how you can improve how you can solo. Okay, in case you are a beginner and maybe you are confused, how do I know how to solo melody lines? And I made a video teaching you how you can do that, especially with chords. Okay, because actually soloing melody with chords will make it much more richer and make it sound professional. You know, a lot of beginners are used to just playing this. Okay, you see that, and there's nothing wrong with this, but it's very basic. What about if you are soloing with chord on your right hand? It makes it sound fuller. For example, something like this. So you see, I'm playing it with chords, and that is actually the best way to go about this. But however, if you're a beginner, you can just start with playing with single notes first, and with time, you improve to solo with chords. So I'll leave the video in the description box below, where I gave instance of how you can actually solo melody with chords, and I thought of making a video soon where I'm going to teach you how you can actually go around with soloing with single notes if you are new to that. So it's more or less like guessing, but not really. Okay, it just comes with practice. Okay, the most important thing to note that it must be within the scale of that particular key, within the 7 notes most of the time. The only question will be which note will be the best to strike at a certain moment. Okay, so I'm going to go in deeper into this in future videos. All right, so the fourth method of improving any basic worship progression, or any progression at all, not only worship, is by actually using what we call fills, or you say passing notes or passing tones. Okay, so this is kind of very similar to grace notes also, but most of the time this is just filling in that empty spaces. It's functioning to fill up the empty spaces in the progression. So this is what I mean by passing notes. So for example, let's say I want to go to the second chord. Instead of just going the second chord in the key of F sharp, instead of, okay, let me go to another key. Let's say C, or let's say C. So let's say I want to go to the second chord in the key of C. Instead of just going to the 2 like this is the second chord, okay? Instead of just going to the 2, what I can do before I land on this 2, I can play a passing note, which is this. You see that? Which leads me to the 2. So this is more or less like the same function of passing chords, but this time around, it is the note that is leading you to that target chord. So watch this. Instead of just 2, you can do something like this. You see that? Again, if I'm going to the 5, I can play this. To the 1, to the 4, to the 2, 5. So you can see I'm just adding passing notes or tones, just a leading tone that leads you to another chord in the progression, especially when you're transiting from one chord to another. So there are no rules. You could just experiment, okay? But a simple thing you can do is, for example, this is the second chord. So when you're going to the second chord, most times, this is just a little trick I do apply most times. So most time, anytime I want to go to the second chord, I just play. That's 2, 3, 4. If I'm going to the 5, I can play. You see that? That is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay, but before landing on 5, you grace. So 1, 2, 3, 5. You can use that to get to your 5. So the 4, you can play this. You see that? 2, 3, 2, 1, 6. But you grace the 6. Okay, so there are many ways. You just need to experiment and know what works for you, but this is just kind of like the general idea behind this. Okay, all right, just before proceeding the video, if you already find any value from this video, please do it to like the video. It might just look so simple to you, but it's mean a whole lot to me. And thank you, and let's proceed in the video. The fifth way of improving any basic worship progression is by using what we call adding what we call rhythmic movements, okay, instead of using block chords. Okay, so this is what I mean. It's just kind of like adding movement to your play instead of just being static, which most beginners are used to. Okay, so this is actually what I mean. So for example, in the key of let's say C. Okay, so most beginners will play a lot of songs like this. For example, let's say, Lord, okay, and offer my life to you. Everything I've been through, use it for your glory. Okay. You see, just playing the chords alone, and that's just using block chords, no movements, which is actually not bad, but it sounds too basic. So what about if you start adding some kind of rhythmic movements like this? For example, watch this. See that? You can compare it to just playing basic chords. No, you can add some movement, something like this. See that? So let me walk you through how you can go about this. So the movements I'm adding are most often you can start with your left hand, okay, which is actually the, let's say, the backbone of the music, where the backbone of the music is being played, which is the progression, the harmonic progression. You can just, instead of playing basic triad chords, you can just use different patterns, rhythmic patterns, something like this. A good way you can start is by using power chord. So instead of playing the triad, you can remove the middle notes, that is the third, leaving the fifth and the one, that's in the key of C, and playing the one again in the next octave. So this is 1, 5, and 1, which is the power chord. Okay, so what you can now start doing, instead of just playing this, you can play 1, 5, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 5, 1, 2, 3. Or you can play 1, 5, 1, 5, 3. Okay, so remember, this is the in terms of the scale, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that. Okay, so don't be confused about the numbers. So you can add 1, 5, 1, 5, 3. There are many patterns. This is 1, 1, 5, 1, 5, 3. Okay, for each of the chords. Okay, another one you can add is just this. Okay, so I don't want this to be too complex, but the idea is just not just being static. Instead of just even playing your basic triad chord, you can arpeggiate it in a rhythmic pattern, something like this. Okay, so just add movement. Okay, so there are all lot of movements, that is patterns you can add, but that's going to make the video too long. But I just hope you get the idea. Maybe perhaps I'll still dive deeper into this in future, but this is just the idea. Instead of being static, add movements to your play. So now the sixth way you can improve any basic boring progression is by using what we call turn arounds. Okay, so let me play this in the key of C sharp. Okay, let me show you what a turnaround sounds like. For example, something like this. Let's say, as the deep path its fall, the water so my heart's longer. Watch this. You can see that. So you can see what I did, something like this. So this is an example of a turnaround that you can add to your progressions. This same turnaround, this turnaround progression is called the 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. Another worship song that I use this, for example, let me think of this. You can even use this, find this in I Surrender All. Okay, so I surrender all, and I surrender. Yes, it's and all. You see that? Okay, so let me break this down. So turn around are just series of chords that are functioning as a passing chord rather than, let's say, the harmonic, the general harmonic flow of the song. Okay, so every song have a chord progression which most often keep repeating itself and form the harmonic background of the song. And but turnarounds are also progressions most of the time. There are series of chords which are making up a progression, but instead of this progression to be functioning as the overall harmonic flow of the music, it's just imputed to just kind of hard tension and resolution. Okay, they are functioning as a passing chord. So meaning you can play them in between the individual chords of the progression of the song. I just hope I'm making sense. Okay, so most often turnarounds are series of chords you play to get back to your chord 1, which is the root chord of a particular key. Most times, most of the cases, they are used to get back to the 1, but you can use it to get to any chord actually. So most times turnarounds are also series of chords you play, for example, when you're transiting from one section of a song to another. For example, maybe from, let's say, the verse to the chorus or thereabouts. So those turnarounds are just series of chords you can play, trying to show that the song is not ending. Okay, there are many turnarounds, but the popular one especially is the 3, 6, 2, 5, and 1. So I'm in the key of C sharp. So the 3 is 1, 2, 3, which is this. Okay, the 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 2 is 1, 2, and the 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all I'm just playing is 3, 6, 2, 5 to the 1. Okay, so in the song as the day, we all know the basic progression is 1 to the 6 to the 4 to the 5 and 1. Okay, so the turnaround, what the turnaround does is, before starting all over again. Okay, so as the day palettes 4, 6, da, 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 4, so instead of just going to the 1, we play 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, which is what the turnaround does. Instead of just getting to the 1, you play it quickly as a passing chord. 6, 2, 5, and 1. Okay, even in the song I Surrender All, it goes like this. I surrender 5. So instead of going to the 1, I surrender all, we just impute the turnaround. 3, 6, 2, 5. Oh, okay, so don't get confused. All these chords I'm playing advanced chords, and these are not just the basic triad. Okay, but it's still the 3, 6, 2, 5, and 1. Okay, that thing to also note about turnaround is to make sure it follows the time. It should be in time. Okay, so for example, that's as there. You see, like it's kind of, I'm playing it for each of the beats in the song, like this. Okay. Okay, so that's just basically all. I don't want to make the video too long. The final way you can improve the basic progression of any song is actually by using advanced chord voicings. Okay, so remember, chords are basically what are the building block of every chord progression. Okay, so all these are chords we are playing, and most chord progression just use basic chords. For example, 1 6 2 5 1 6 2 5. But instead of just playing the basic, you can use advanced chord voicings. When I mean advanced chord voicings, or let's say using fat chords, they are just kind of just extending the chord. Instead of playing the basic triad, you could play seventh chords, you could add 9, okay, and so on. So seventh chord is just basically adding the seventh note to the basic triad chord, which is this. Add 9 is simply adding, let's say, the ninth, okay, or most time you can just say the add 2, which is this. So this is much more fuller than just the basic triad. Okay, so using all these fat chords and seventh chords just give the progression a new feeling. Okay, because the building block of the progression, which are the basic chords, are much more advanced. So watch this. Okay, so you can see I'm playing a simple progression, but the individual chords are much more advanced instead of just being one chord. Okay, instead of just being basic. And this is what you want to do to improve any progression of any song. So another type of passing chord you can implement is what I call either a walk up or a walk down. But in this case, I used a walk down. Now, this is what I did at the beginning of the video. I did something like this. This is it. See that? So it's a kind of, we call it a walk down because you are walking down the diatonic chords. And remember, I'm using inversions in this case. That is okay. Another famous worship song that uses this is God is Able to Do by Dietrich Aiden. So the progression is 1, God is able to do 5, just what He says He would do 4. Okay, that is 4 3 2 1. So it's very similar to this. That's what you can do to spice up a simple progression.